Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to On the Town with Tanya. Thank you for joining us again. We really appreciate you. So, today's guest is a powerhouse of purpose with over 30 years in philanthropy, nonprofit leadership, and personal development. She's inspired countless lives through her books, her coaching, and her voice. From receiving the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award to founding Women Inside Professional Sports and Speak English 5. She is a true advocate for impact. Let's dive into her journey, her writing, and what it means to live unapologetically in your purpose. Please welcome the lovely, fabulous Jazette Lane-English. Hey!
Tanya. Very excited to be here. Thank you so very much. That was a really, really warm welcome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. We're so excited to have you. I appreciate you taking the time to come. So I don't know. Let's start with your origin story. What was the moment or experience that first set you on this path of driving change through philanthropy and leadership and personal development?
Well, for philanthropy, I started volunteering at 12 years old for an organization called Camp Benito. And we had to help support children with disabilities through the Morris Alderpine Hospital for Children, which is local here, but also the Nemours family comes from Paris, France. So
Oh,
I started years ago volunteering, and I just understood. I had an understanding of the value of giving back and how you have to reciprocate, all the abundance that you have in your life, just through spiritual foundations. By my family always led by example, grandparents, parents, just matriarchs of family, just following them, following their leads, and just understanding the importance of giving, giving to others. So that's essentially, when I started years ago. And then as far as the nonprofit side of it, we started off with a sports column, actually my daughter and myself, because I used to be married to a star athlete, a professional basketball player, played in the NBA and he played overseas. And I had
okay.
two sons who are star athletes.
Mhm.
So basically, my daughter and I felt kind of stifled because their careers were in the forefront,
Mhm.
of our lives at the time. And so had a conversation with my daughter and found that she was feeling the same things that I was feeling. So we went out and we asked other women that were affiliated with star athletes, and we all had the same kind of stories, same messaging. So
Mhm.
we decided to start highlighting the great things that the women behind the scenes were doing to help
Mhm.
the well-oiled machine keep going in the star athlete, and it grew from there.
Mhm.
Went from a
Wow.
sports column to us compiling the best of the interviews into a book, from a
Mhm.
book to an annual conference in Washington, D.C., where we started promoting businesses, not just their stories, but their businesses of these women, call ourselves WIPS, Women Inside Professional Sports. And
Mhm.
then we decided to get nonprofit status, and then it just took off from there. So we've been doing
Ah,
this for a very, very long time. So
that-
that's basically the backstory for the philanthropy part of my life.
wow, that's amazing. And so your new book series, Black Women to Be Unapologetic Unity, is
Yes.
very powerful. What
Thank
was the spark behind that, and what do you hope your readers, especially Black women, what's the takeaway from this daily journey of
Well,
affirmation
well,
and growth?
I start all of my days off with prayer and meditation. I start that's the foundation of each day.
Mhm.
Make my days intentional. Set intention behind each day. So during prayer and meditation, I kind of got inspired that I should need to write something else. My daughter loves book affirmational books. That's how, I was able to pick myself up when I was down traveling the world, following my husband at the time,
Mhm.
his career with through self-help books. Um,
Mhm.
so with affirmations and things like that. And then with our election here in the United States, with Kamala Harris not winning, I felt like kind of disheartened,
Right.
as did so many other people, in this country. So I just was inspired to uplift Black women and to say, hey, we are who we think we are. We are who we believe we are. We are all of that in a bag of chips, so to
Right.
speak.
Right.
even though she wasn't chosen to be president, even though in my opinion she was the most qualified candidate, but that
Right.
does not devalue who we are. So I just felt like I needed to send a message to Black women, because of what I was feeling, and I was certain that there were other women feeling the same way. And then
Mhm.
I feel like we sometimes, as Black women, we have our guard up when it comes to interacting with each other, subconsciously, and it's a barrier that we put up that we don't have to have. And so that's another catalyst for pushing unity among Black women, because we I think that when we see each other, I see you when I look at myself, and I see you when I look at you, I see myself. So
Right.
we should greet each other bright-eyed, not side-eyed. That's a little saying that I have: bright-eyed, not side-eyed. You
I
know,
like.
embrace each other. So that's basically the takeaway from the series, is just, we're one and the same. There's no threat. I'm no threat. I'm here to support you, in
Right.
any way that I can, and hopefully you'll reciprocate that. So that's the takeaway from the series, Black Women to Be series.
Right. Well, I find it very interesting because, and this is a side note, because like you said, since some people have taken over, I'll just say, an office, I'll just say, I
Yeah,
don't like saying the name.
right,
Um, I do feel, I mean, it was before them, actually,
right.
to be honest
Yeah,
with you. We've always been undervalued. Let's keep it
yes,
100%. I mean,
yes,
that's just what it is. And that's,
yes,
we can go all the way back to the plantation days before we decide why we divide and conquer.
absolutely.
Right. Why? Oh, she think we. That's
Yes,
just a human thing that happens because, unfortunately, men set it up that way. I mean,
exactly.
that's my
Yeah.
personal opinion, but that's what I think.
Mm-hmm.
But we've always had this thing going on, and especially now with the height of the amount of ism, if you know what I mean, in the
Yes.
world going on. And
Mhm.
we're very undervalued. And some people can say, "Well, that's not true. You can do anything you want to do." We know we can do anything we want.
Right.
That's not an issue. We still here. That's not an issue. It's
Exactly.
just we don't get support that we need. We don't get validation that human beings need. Not even
Yes.
just need Tanya saying, "I need somebody to
Yes.
validate me." It's not about that. Every human being needs to feel loved, cared for, and supported. Every
Yes.
human being, I don't care who you could be, a
Absolutely.
hermit, and you need that. You don't know you need it, but as a human, that's how we thrive. That's how we grow
Exactly.
as human
Yes.
beings, right? So
Yes.
for us being undervalued all the time by
Mhm.
everybody, I mean, all we got it from all walks of life. I hope that everybody understands why it's so important that we, even when we had the sayings, when Muhammad Ali had those statements, "Float like somebody, sting like a bee," and like
Yes.
the best thing to ever be. Someone said, "Well, why do you have to say that?" Suppose somebody white said it. It's not the same connotation, first of all,
No, it's not.
and you don't need it to be said because it's already unspokenly.
Absolutely.
It's unspokenly so. You
Absolutely.
could be living
And
in a
that's the key.
backwoods. Yeah,
And that's the key. Absolutely. It's unspoken for certain groups.
right,
Um, and it's a problem when we want to do it for ourselves. So
right.
you're absolutely right. I'm in total
And I'm
agreement.
not blaming them. So there's another thing, because there are some, I do believe there are some people that are being left out of their own loop. And
Yes.
they don't know it until they wake up and say, "Wait a minute, that's me."
Exactly.
But I was like, "Hey,
Exactly.
I can't have you take advantage of your situation." I'm just saying.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
I'm not mad. I'm not hating. And unless you're doing something intentional now, like, so, the guy with the orange hair, if you're doing something intentional, then I have a problem with you. Because
Right.
now it's one thing to use your beauty, your talent, your
Right.
skills, your inheritance, your whatever leverage you have.
Right.
That's understandable. But when you're using it for evil, or you're
Yes.
using it to do the reverse on other
Yes.
people, I have
Yes.
a problem with that.
Absolutely.
There is no problem with me saying, "Well, she was born with whatever," and
Right.
she's in aesthetically to someone else, maybe not to
But
me.
when you
Or,
weaponize it, when you
smart or
weaponize
wise, right? When you
when you
weaponize.
weaponize it, it becomes a problem.
Yes,
Yes.
and I need people to understand that, because they say, "Well, why do you have to say Black Power? Why do you have to say? Why do you have to have a special group with only Black women or white women or Chinese women, whatever women you want?"
Mhm.
It's because why do you think? I shouldn't have to even explain that to you, right?
Exactly.
At this point, I'm not even going to explain to you if you
Yes.
don't
And they
understand
and
it.
they know. They know.
Yes,
They don't
right.
they want to challenge everything that we do anyway, but they already know. They know,
Well,
they can see the difference. They know.
yes. Well, I've had Black people ask me this too, by the way.
Yeah.
Oh, they've been just as trifling. I was like, "What are you asking me? Are you really doing this? We doing this right now?" I don't do History 101. I am not doing, I don't do History 101 for nobody. I don't care
Right.
who you are. If I feel like it, I might be nice and generous to a teenager, to a young kid. I'm
Right.
going to give you all the lessons. But to a grown adult, you better do
Yeah.
your own homework. I'm not here to research for you. Research yourself. How about that? That's
Right.
how and if you don't understand it, maybe it was not meant for you to understand. Maybe you just need to sit on the side and shut up.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that works. That works sometimes too. Sometimes that's the best thing you can do, you know?
I'm just saying, sometimes you need, and that goes for, I don't care what color someone is. If you don't understand it and you ain't trying to understand it, just sit on the side and shut up.
Well, that's ignorance anyway, when they don't want to understand it or not trying. And then we don't have time for ignorance, you know?
Yeah, ignorance and laziness. The ones
Yeah.
who look like me that are doing it, they're being lazy.
Yeah.
They don't, it's not lazy like I don't want to work, but lazy like they don't want their brain to do the flips it
Mentally.
takes to mentally get out of the rut
Yep.
that you've been put in by
Yep.
society. It takes
Mhm.
work. It ain't gonna be
It does
like,
take
oh,
work.
yeah, it
It
takes
does
work.
take work. Yes, it does.
Continuous work.
Mhm.
Continuous. There's no way you're going to be walking around here with your head up because someone's always trying to knock you at your knees. Every step you turn. Imagine being every step you turn. It's like, oh well, you know this, or they ignore you. I mean, there's tons of ways, but there's ways to always knock people down. And with that being said, we need books to remind us. We need people to remind us. We need special awards, whatever it takes for the
You need
human
podcasts like Tanya Rochester Cooper
on the Town with
remind
Tanya.
us.
I'm trying. It's hard out here in the streets because I ain't doing gossip. It ain't as popular, but I don't really care. I don't follow what everybody else does. This is what I'm coming to do. I'm doing what God said, not what Tanya, not even what I said, what He said or she said. Whoever, some of y'all, depending who I talk to. So to go back on subject. Sorry about that. I got a little sidetracked.
No, that's okay. Listen, we're just talking. That's fine.
Yes. So you received the Joseph R. Biden Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What did that moment mean to you personally and professionally?
I felt seen.
Right.
I felt seen. I felt seen. I felt appreciated. Because it was a total surprise. And then when you do what you love to do, it doesn't feel like work. So sometimes it doesn't seem like what are you giving me this to me for? Because what have I really done enough for this, or have I really been doing work? You know what I mean? Like, what have I? And I had to take a step back, and I know there's such thing as imposter syndrome and all that, but was that I just was like, when I had to take and make an assessment of myself and the things that I've done, and I'm like, well, I guess I have done it.
Right.
My daughter was like, Mom, you have done it. You've done so many different things. So. But if I could sum it up, I felt seen, I felt heard, I felt appreciated, and it really felt nice, very very nice. It felt,
I can imagine because I think a lot of people are doing such great things in the world. Just to it's really mentally rough out here right now for a lot of people, not just brown, not just no specific group, just for people.
Yes.
So we really do need every single tool on deck and every human being that is mentally stable, able to pass on how they've stayed stable to just keep going every day. There's people, I just heard of someone today. I didn't check out the full story, but let's just say they off themselves. I'm like, why would someone do that? Like, why? I'm not offing myself for nobody. So if you ever hear that, it's a lie. I'm just saying, why I'm not doing it. I don't care if they could take everything from me and I could be sitting on the streets. I'm not doing that. That's not going to be an option. Why? Because ancestors from all walks of life have sacrificed their lives to me. So who am I to say, well, I'm just going to give up? Are you kidding me? They didn't give up on them ships. They didn't give up when it was down below. They didn't give up when they was crossing the water, when they got to Ellis Island, wherever. Someone was here already when the people came and stole it. They didn't give up. So who am I to say, well, I'm just going to give up because I don't have anything anymore? What? You always have something. You know what I'm saying? If you alive,
I think that's the power of unity and feeling like you do have someone. Hence Unapologetic Unity, which is a subtitle of the book, because it's important to feel a sense of connection and connectivity to someone, even if it's just one other person. And then there's power. There's power in numbers. You feel empowered, you feel strength, you can pull from the people that are around you when you feel weak, when you feel when you feel small, so to speak. So
like
that's the importance of unity. And I feel like the people that do that is because they feel isolated and like they don't have anyone else, you know.
so
So yeah.
absolutely,
Mhm.
absolutely. I love this whole concept. So in Whips Unscripted, you give us an unfiltered look at the lives of women in the sports industry. Wow.
Yeah.
What's one truth from those interviews that completely reshaped the way you see the world?
I finally found because the town I'm from
Mhm.
is very small. So if
Okay.
you have one star athlete during that time that comes from the town, now we have had many that come through here, but during the time when my husband came through, he was
Mhm.
really the only one, the main one.
Okay.
So I felt like I was the odd man out, so to speak. Like there was no one in the town that could relate to me, what I was dealing with, what I was going through. Not a family member, not because it's difficult being in a relationship with a professional athlete,
Right.
um, especially when you're in a small town. So
Yeah.
for me, when we connected with other women that had the same stories, I finally had a sense of connection and connectivity. What I just spoke to you about with suicidal people, because I
Mhm.
was around a ton of other women that could relate to what I was dealing with, my lifestyle, somebody that I could talk to that totally understood where I was coming from. Like my mother who had raised me my whole life she didn't understand. She couldn't relate. So there are certain things that just certain advice I couldn't get from my mother, even, you know, from my grandmother, from my aunts, from the women that I looked to growing up, because
Mhm.
they just couldn't relate because they never been in this position that I was in.
Mhm.
So I felt like I wasn't alone. I wasn't isolated when I was able to meet other women in the that are affiliated with professional sports.
Right.
Um, and then it empowered me to stand in my truth and be okay with where I was in life. You know, the blessings that came along with that, as well as the challenges, because sometimes I felt like I wasn't worthy of the blessings, you know, because that's how I felt some of the women around me made me feel. I dealt with jealousy, I dealt with you know, backbiting, all kinds of hatred, all kinds of, you know, different things in my small town that I came from. But
Mhm.
once I was able to connect with other women, then I finally felt like, you know, you have the right to be here,
Right.
and it's okay. You don't have to be like everyone else. So the sense of connection, a sense of unity that I felt with the group of women, and what the first group was called Behind the Bench, the National Basketball Wives Association was the first group that I became a member of, and then I later on you know, elevated in the group and became held several board seats. Um,
Mm.
so that's if I could say one thing, it was Behind the Bench gave me a sense of connection, connectivity, self
Mhm.
empowerment, and that I was worthy of being holding the position that I held. You know, being married to a professional basketball player.
Yes, because that comes with its own challenges.
Comes
And
with a
you named
whole
a lot of them. Yeah, you named a lot of them, but
lot.
I can not empathize because it's nice if you can have the patience. But
Right.
I totally get it. It's not the
Yes.
same.
No,
Um,
it's not. It is not the same. And now you see, we have these reality shows with all the
yes.
craziness that goes on. That's not
Whew,
everyone's story. Like
no,
Behind the
absolutely not.
Bench, we legit had a sisterhood. We didn't treat each other that way. We were literally our sisters' keepers. So
Right.
we didn't interact like that with each other
Right.
at all. That wasn't our experience. Uh,
Yeah, that's for TV. That's only for TV. That
exactly.
is scripted for
Exactly.
television to create
Exactly.
drama with the type of
Yes.
people that they're trying to attract.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. And
sad.
exactly. You're spot on with that. So we did not. That's not what our experiences was in our organization. But we had a true sisterhood, and we were able to support and uplift each other through all the different trials and tribulations. You know, as well as enjoy the blessings of being in those positions.
Mm. Yeah, no, that's a unique challenge that comes with dating. Even a celebrity, it can be
Hmm.
challenge, a big challenge. If you don't know yourself, good luck.
Exactly. And now the role's different because my
Oh,
oldest son is a professional basketball player. So now I'm on the mom side of it. So,
oh,
you know,
you
so
got
that's a whole different
You gotta have
Walk back.
your catcher's mitt on. Bob weave, Bob weave. Let's go. They're coming.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
But as
Oh
long as
no.
you have a sense of connection and with someone or a group, then any I feel like anything in life is doable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's a good, but I'm glad you mentioned that because a lot of women that have that challenge, you're right. Who can they talk to? Because I'm going to probably give you some advice that's not helpful. I dated a couple of somebody before in my life, so I got a pinch of
Yeah.
understanding of that. But
Absolutely.
married is a whole nother ball game.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
whole nother level. So because now you're committed to life, right?
Right. Right.
So, so it's different, and I appreciate you mentioning that. Not everybody acts like basketball wives you say on TV. Okay, that's to me, it just never makes sense because I was like, wait, well, allegedly you
Right.
have all this money and all these endorsements. I'm saying that allegedly.
Right. Uh-huh.
Not everybody has that
Right.
again.
Right.
And all you do is bicker, argue, and fight. That don't make sense.
Nonsense. So many other things you could be
I
doing.
be out here in these
Yeah.
charity streets.
It
Okay.
just makes no sense, right? I
It
know.
makes no sense. It never did. So whoever wrote it, I think that's great for your pockets, but it ain't real reality, and it is
Right.
done. It's a done concept to me.
Exactly.
I don't
Yeah.
understand, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
So you founded Women Inside Professional Sports, which is such a unique and needed space. What are the biggest shifts you've seen in how women are represented and supported in the sports world? Because like
Um,
lately, you
well, I
know,
think that now, especially in the WNBA, that they're
yes.
gaining more support.
Mhm.
And the crazy part about it is that it's like make up your mind. How do you want? Are you going to the games for the sport, or are you going to the games because you want to see these little tiny uniforms? Because they started saying if the women wear certain kinds of shorts, the men
Mhm.
will come out, or just nonsense. So
Really?
yes, misogyny, chauvinistic,
It's crazy.
comments and things like that. But
It's
women,
crazy.
they're really showing their athletic abilities
Right.
in the WNBA, and they're getting more endorsements and more support. And I think that is you know critical and crucial, and that's one of the reasons why WNBA is starting to do so much better.
Mm.
But as far as just women in sports as a whole,
Mhm.
um, I just feel like that, like once again, it goes back to value.
Mhm.
Value. You can't be sexist about everything in life. They have to be respected as the athletes that they are, the
Mhm.
true athletes that they are. But
Yes.
the issue is the fan base. If the fans would come out and buy the merchandise and
Yeah.
support, then the game itself would be bigger. Because
Yep.
that's why NBA is so huge, because the fans support. They buy all the merchandise. They do, they do all that. Buy the tickets. They watch the games on TV. All of that stuff matters. So
Right.
if society would put more value into women, which we know that they don't,
No.
then that'll change that'll change everything about the women inside pro sports. It'll change
Absolutely.
how it takes a society to get behind the support
Absolutely.
of women and put their money where their mouth is. And because ticket sales makes a difference, merchandise sales makes all the difference. That's
Yeah.
really the only difference between the NBA and the WNBA is the money that the fans put into the game, supporting the game.
Yeah. But merch is everything. But also, again, it goes back to, I think, sexism because I don't see commercials making this up, let's say, with like, what's her name? Was it Dawn Staley? I'm trying to figure out one of the girls
Uh-huh.
that I went. Oh, Dawn Staley was one, right? Okay. So, like with her in a commercial for, I don't know, some new sneaker, right? Where they have the young girls at the end of the game, wanting the signature from her on their sneaker. I'm making that up, but that's the kind we need the imagery to go along with that to get to that level. That's what
Yes,
they did for the guys. You know what I'm saying?
absolutely,
Michael Jordan
absolutely.
going to do a layup. Wouldn't everybody like to be like Jordan, right? So everybody's like,
Yes,
"Oh my God, I want to be like
yes,
Jordan," right? All these
yes,
visual images, we don't see
yes.
for them, but I
All of
think
it
we should
matters.
do. Yeah.
Yes, all of it matters.
Yeah, everything. Because that's how I got. I mean, honestly, I only got into the women's the women's league of basketball because um, I temped for was it MSG for a long time, for like, I don't know, 9 months or something crazy. I don't know. So I had to sign all the players in. So that's how I learned about it. And I was like, wait a minute, I'm missing out on a lot of stuff here.
Oh,
That's
nice.
how I learned out about it. And I played ball in school. So you would
Wow.
think I'd be
Nice.
looking that out, but I had to sign the players, and that's when Stefan was on the team. That's a long time ago, thousands of years ago. But anyway, that's how I learned about the WNBA. And I was like,
Oh,
wow,
nice.
these girls are amazing. And
Yeah.
are you kidding? Like, why are we missing all this?
I mean, they're
So,
doing everything. They're dunking the ball. They're doing everything the men are doing. You know what I mean? It's just that society has to get behind, what they do and show appreciation and like I said, spend the money.
well, I don't think, honestly, I don't think the powers that be that run it, which is the men, I don't, is my personal opinion, but I don't think they want them to outdo the men. They don't want that.
No, they
Because
don't.
now, just like when they went off to the war and told the women to handle the movie industry, and they handled it so well, it was booming. They said, wait a minute, we want our jobs
Yeah,
back.
they
That's why
don't.
they
They don't
knocked
want us
us
to
out
outdo.
again. So,
They don't want
yeah,
us to outdo them in
no,
anything.
that's what it is. But I think it's up to the women to do it, honestly.
It
I mean,
is. It is.
it can happen because I know I enjoy watching, especially like even the women's volleyball. I like watching. There's certain things I love watching, but if you don't know about it, then it doesn't become the first thing on your brain.
Right.
You know,
Right.
the brain's on football and like the Knicks or whoever, because that's all I hear about.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So
Marketing is key. Like we just need society to value what we have going on, and then
yes,
yeah,
yes,
makes a
absolutely,
difference.
yeah, it does. In whip slash life at 55 miles per hour MP.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's right. MPH. Excuse me, I said that wrong. That's right. You explore female relationships with such honesty. What was the biggest insight that you gained about sisterhood, especially like in high pressure spaces like sports and leadership?
Yeah, it's not miles per hour because that is not what that stands for.
Right.
So
It's
MPH stands for something different.
yes, it is. And that's what I said. Please correct me on the MPA.
So,
You see
but
about marketing. As soon as
yeah,
you see certain initials, what do you
right,
think? Is it
right.
mouse? I know it's not. I know it's
and
not what I
and
thought.
for those that don't know that are watching or listening, you got to go get it to see what it stands for. But it's not miles per hour,
It's not
believe
mouse power. So that was Tanya's Freudian slip up. Something. I was
me.
looking. I found.
um, so it basically that for me was a mental dump. Honestly, if I'm being honest, I felt like everybody should do a mental dump at different phases in their lives to
Mm,
get the clutter out of their brains and to release trauma,
yes.
emotional trauma, just open up and free the space for more things to funnel in, more love, more abundance, more inspiration, more guidance, more divine guidance, more initiative, more ambition, more curiosity. So for me, that was my way of doing it. And since I decided to do a mental dump, I went ahead and shared it with everyone so that to give people an idea that it's okay to do this. It's okay to be honest. It's okay to be open. Um, so that's what that audio book was for me, and that allowed me to kind of hone in on what I feel like I was missing in my relationships with other Black women, which led to the Black Women to Be series because all of these books were written in within a year's time. It was like they just flowed out of me one, two, three. Um, so that like I said, the mental dump helped me clear the space for something else to pour in, and then God gave me the inspiration to write again, and then my daughter kind of influenced me to go this route, this genre of writing, and that's how it came to be.
Nice. Wow.
Well,
That's right. You've worked with leaders in health, in sports,
mhm.
and in government. Can you like share an example of collaboration that made a lasting impact and taught you something
Yeah,
new?
yeah. Well, we when we say government, we work with public officials here where we're from, and other public officials in other states,
Mhm.
um, just to make an impact in underserved communities from the philanthropy side, by offering programs addressing food insecurity, just different needs that are in different states and different cities, and offer our programs nationally. We come together as whips. Like for instance, if there's a professional team and say, let's say Philadelphia, then we'll go to the Philadelphia team and get the women inside pro sports that are affiliated with the team and then do a program in that city. So that's kind of how we are able to touch so many lives on a national level. And then if there are no pro teams, we get people to fly in if there's a need, in an underserved community. That's essentially, what we've done. And then we just did a show because we have monthly accountability sessions. We call them where we hold each other gently accountable for the Black woman to be serious and make sure that everyone's staying on task because it's a 365-day journey. And the timeline for it is individualized. It's not like one person has to be on the same page with the other people, but we come together monthly so that we can make sure that you haven't put the book down and not picked it back up for like 7 days or something like that.
Right.
So when we have those events, we bring in people like yourselves and people like yourself to see if they have any messaging that they want to give to the participants for that event. So last week we had one with Donovan McNabb's mother, Shara McNabb. She's a good friend of mine, and then Donna Gaines. And Donna Gaines is instrumental in the Rainbow Push Coalition with Jesse Jackson. And she also did some things with President Barack Obama for the underserved community. So those are the type of relationships and people, that we work with to affect lasting change in some of the programs that we offer. And then we have our own participants in our programs that follow along with us year after year. We stay in touch with them. Even something as simple as an AAU team that we have. My oldest son has an AAU basketball team and that we oversee for him operationally. And then my younger son does all the marketing around our programs, CD Forel Apparel. So we have so many different tentacles out there, so to speak, so that we can try to help as many people as possible in underserved communities. And our reach is pretty broad.
Wow, that's amazing stuff. Especially now, a lot of kids, they need the mentoring. If they don't get it, it's kind of hopeless. So I appreciate you for that. What are the most common challenges you see women facing today? And how do you see them rise above these blocks?
The challenges that I feel like we're facing is that we're kind of over prepared, because we know that we have to be 10 times better. And we're over prepared, like we're overqualified for so many positions. I feel like, and I don't feel like some people don't want to see us thrive. They don't want to see us shine, and if people would just step out of the way and let the most educated group of people in this country, have more positions of authority and leadership, I think that things would just change. I feel like we're more than prepared through experience, through education, through spirituality, to be able to do so much more than we're, able to do because of the glass ceilings and the barriers that are put in front of us. We have to find a way around those situations. And when we don't have seats at the table, we have to create our own tables. We have to create our own organizations, our own businesses, our own entities, and work together, come together as a collective to affect change in our society, because they're not going to allow us to do it. They're not. And it's not because we're not prepared. It's not because we're not the best women for the job, because in most cases we absolutely are.
Right.
Exactly. And they want to try to undervalue and devalue us, but it's not working because it's divine intervention. It's divine. It's ordained by God. It's anointing, and you can't mess with that. You just can't mess with that. That's why we're still here. That's why we're still thriving and surviving and evolving and better than we were years ago. And we're not going anywhere because God says so. So
and we have technically, in my opinion, I think we have less in some ways than our ancestors did. They had something that I think is way more important. They had the mental wherewithal
Yes.
and the spiritual wherewithal to do the marathon. This
Yes.
generation is equipped to do just the race,
Yeah.
but I think mentally, I'm figuring out and doing the gymnastics. We can figure out quick. Like so, we say, okay, you're only going to give us a penny. Okay, I'm going to get 5 cows, 10 horses, 3, and you're like, how are you going to get that with a penny? They get it. They make it
Yeah.
happen.
Figure it
Or,
out.
or they make a whole new balance. We're just not going to eat cow.
And exactly. And it's funny that you said that, because they did a poll here, and it said that most of the younger generation, they're atheists. Not even sure if they believe in God. So the spiritual foundation is not there, like it
which is
was.
which is good but scary. It's good because remember, spirituality was used to keep us in check.
Right.
Not
Exactly.
excuse me. The concept of God
The
was used to keep
religion
was
and
keep
their,
right.
their religion and their indoctrination. Exactly. Yes.
But in the same breath, the weird thing about it was it worked as far as our ancestors keeping us in line enough to go the marathon. So it's a
Right.
catch-22,
Yes.
because like people often say, well, how did this child survive this in this abusive situation or this situation? How did the woman survive this? How did you survive it? If you talk to most survivors of any horrific situation, they had some type of a spiritual
Right.
self that told them, you can do this. You
That's
got
right.
this. You
That's
got
right.
it. So even if it wasn't God, you say God, it was they knew something was greater than themselves.
Right.
So
That's what I was going to say.
with that being said, we were not the generation. I'm going to off myself because it's just not working out. No,
Hmm.
this generation will be like, well, let's ride it till we die.
Hmm.
So that could be bad, and that could be that's
Hmm.
the cat. It's like a fine line. Like, wait a minute, you have no spirituality, none.
Right. Yeah.
That means that
Gotta
that
have
means
have to have some sort of a respect and reverence for something bigger than yourself.
right. Even if it's
So
I respect my ancestors, I thrive because of them. Even if you
yeah,
have that story, I can take that. I'll take that over
yes,
anything. But
exactly.
I can't
Something.
say there ain't nothing better than me.
Well, yeah. You can't say that without you. You have to have some respect for something bigger than yourself without the perverted indoctrination.
Right.
You know,
And
that's
that's the problem. The
yeah,
inverted condemnation. It has jacked so many, and I know people right now talking about they spiritual, they minister, they pastor, they
yeah,
doing this. You are the biggest sinner I've ever met in my entire life. How is this working for you? Like, how is this working for you? And you're not
yeah,
doing nothing God told you to do if we're going to
nothing.
talk about God, because you're supposed to be in his likeness. Well, you're not in his likeness if you're, lying, cheating, stealing, da da da, all those things. You're not. That's no way. So
Hmm.
I don't go by words anymore. Show me your actions.
Exactly,
Show me.
exactly.
And these kids are not going by your words no more. They need
And
to see
no,
action. And what they're seeing is a horrendous. I mean,
exactly. That's
look
why
at
they're atheists, because of the examples that are being put before them, and they're not going for it. They're just
no,
not. In the
no,
perverted indoctrination, they're just not going for it. That's the
no. And I
reality.
don't blame them. I mean, look at what happened. I
Right.
won't say no names, but let's say in the digital situation, there's somebody's name who came up. I won't say his name because respect to you, proven innocent to proven guilty. But that's a big pastor that everybody looked up to. And now you're telling me this? What?
Right.
I know
Yeah.
all the kids will be like, okay, I'm done.
Right.
I'm just, yeah, and I get it. So I don't criticize it. No, I don't say, oh, why you don't believe in God? I don't try to
Right.
preach them no more.
No.
I just say, in time, honey, you're gonna find out there's something better than you.
Yeah, and just have your own individual relationship with the higher power. Nobody
That's
else has to dictate to you what that looks like, what
nope,
that is. Just have
nope.
some kind of a, individual, intimate relationship with a higher power. That's it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So for young women listening who dream of starting a nonprofit or leading a movement, what's your advice for turning passion into purpose-driven action?
My advice is this: to start now. There's never the perfect time ever.
Right.
It
No,
doesn't come like it does not exist. You'll be waiting for
forever.
forever if you wait for the perfect time, or it just doesn't. So just all you have to do is take one step at a time, figure out what it is that you're passionate about, whatever your mission is, identify that first and foremost, and
Mhm.
then stay centered and stay focused and take one step at a time, and before you know it, you'll be a miles ahead just from one step at a time. You know what I mean? And most people don't realize that they want to see the whole staircase, but you don't have to do that. All you have to do is see one step in front of you, one at a time.
One at
So
a
my advice is just to do it. Start it, whatever it is. Start it. Start it even without the paperwork in place. You know,
Right.
if you want to, I don't know, feed the homeless, start going out feeding the homeless, start giving sandwiches, start, you know, and then grow from there. Find somebody else like minded and partner with them. And then
Yes.
before you know it, you'll have your whole organization to be set up. And then you'll
Yes.
be like me. Well, what did I do to deserve this Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award? Because you took one step at a time without stopping, and
Right.
then you don't even realize how far you come until somebody says, "This is how far you come. Look at what you've accomplished." You don't even realize it because it doesn't seem like work if it's, you know, comes from a place of passion and purpose and love. So my advice is just to go ahead and get started on whatever it is. Get
Yes.
started.
Write it
No
down.
point.
Write down the goal, the purpose.
Yep.
Yeah.
Write down
Because
your mission.
yes,
Write
and
down
now you can
what
Google.
is.
Google has become, well, it's AI. It is AI, but it has become so efficient now that even if you are confused and you don't know, what do I have to do? What does that look like? There is no excuse because you can even ask AI, what
Yep.
do I need to do to start a nonprofit? And I only have $100 or $500.
That's true right there.
And it'll
Yeah.
come up with a whole plan. How do I write my statement? How do I write my business plan? It'll come
Right.
up with anything you need. So
Yes.
don't at this point in the game, there is no excuse. I don't. You
Nope.
could be broke and ask for how do I do it with no money? I mean,
Yep.
to open a nonprofit, you do need
Yep.
to pay the state fees. I had one for 12 years. You do need to pay the state fees that you're in, and each state has different rules and laws. So that's true, but it's not impossible, guys. It's
Right.
not. It's not like, oh my God, you have to have a lot of money and you have to do this, because that's what people told me. I had lawyers tell me you'll never be able to open a nonprofit because
No, and
you
that's
don't have
not
this,
true.
you don't have that, you don't have this.
You
Not
can.
only did it, but I got approved in the first try. I was like, boo boo.
That's
They were
nice.
like, how'd you do that? With work.
Right. That's nice. So
Work.
just identify what your mission is, what your purpose and calling, what they are, and then just start. You don't need the institution to be able to start. Just start, you know, and then everything will evolve into what it needs to be. That's all you have
Absolutely.
to do.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Because there's so many people that, oh, I want to do this, but I can't do that. Even if you want to be a counselor, I'm saying, and you don't have no skills, and let's say you dropped out of high school. Okay. There's plenty of libraries and colleges actually now, local community colleges. If you check it out, they usually have some type of program where
Yep.
not can you get your GED, but you can get college credit while you do it. So there's no
Yep.
excuses. There's no
Absolutely
excuse.
none.
There's programs to pay for these. I
Yep.
mean, there's no excuse. I mean, while they're not cut anyway, but you know what I'm saying? Before the cutting happened, I don't know. But there's always, where there's a will, there is a way. Trust me.
Absolutely. And you can volunteer in facilities and learn how to go about it, you know, by becoming a volunteer
That's
or,
how I
or
became a counselor. And then I did the work. Then I went to school for it.
see,
That's how I went. Yeah.
that's right. And you can seek employment with organizations that are already doing it and then get paid while you learn on the job. You know, I did that growing up. I always, whatever I aspired to be, I went and got a job with a company that was doing something similar and I got paid to learn on the job, you know, and that's how I developed myself in so many ways and kept money in my pocket at the same time. So
That's
definitely there are no excuses. Just get started, you know, identify what it is, figure
yep.
that out, write it down, and then get started. That's it.
Yes, yes. And for those who think they can't figure it out, because I don't know what I'm good at, I don't know what I can do. You can get a free self-assessment test. Just type in self-assessment test free, and it'll pop up somewhere online, and you can take it. It'll tell you what, based on what the answers you give, it'll tell you what
What you're
field you
leaning
should really
toward.
be in. Yeah,
Yeah.
what your skills might really be. You're good with people. Maybe you're good at negotiating. You're good at.
Yeah.
It'll tell you. So there's
Mhm.
no excuses, guys. I'm
No,
telling you. You
none.
just do it.
Do
Like
it.
Nike. Yeah.
That's
Like Nike.
it.
Do it.
That's it. Just get started.
Yeah. That's it. But thank
Mhm.
you. You've accomplished so much. What's next for Jazette? Any upcoming projects or visions you should be watching out for?
Well, I'm just right now just promoting the book, you know, building out the book tour, working with HBCUs and
Okay.
Barnes and Noble and other organizations, trying to push the book, get in different bookstores,
Uh-huh.
um, get overseas in different bookstores. I want to take a trip to Europe soon and promote over there.
Oh,
So that's pretty much what I'm working on right now. My primary focus is
okay.
is is hosting events and it's keynote speaking and just talking about the things that you and I have spoken about today. Maybe you and I can do a collaboration or something
Yes,
in
definitely.
the near future,
Yes.
and get some things done. That'd be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you know me, I'm all about the collaboration. Because
Mm,
if I can do something to help another human being move forward, I'm always in. I'm always in. That's what I live for. That because to me, I believe each individual person is brought here for a specific reason for their own thing, but together is we move forward as human beings. You know,
yes, absolutely.
together we heal,
Absolutely.
together we learn, together we grow, and that's
Yes,
what life's wonderful. You know, so
yes,
you have
yes.
your gift, I have mine. You put them together, and boom, you got
That's absolutely,
double.
absolutely. Yes, indeed.
Yes,
Yes.
I hear you.
Strength in numbers for sure.
That's
Strength
it.
in
That's the saying.
numbers.
Strength in numbers. Wow.
Hmm.
So I appreciate you, Jazette. Thank you so much for all your wisdom and the work that you do to uplift all the communities. Everybody else, be sure to check out her book, especially the Black Woman to Be series, and follow her for more powerful insight. This conversation was about living boldly, leading with your heart, and building. Thank you. I appreciate you all
Thank
for
you so
watching.
much, Tanya. Thank you
Yeah,
so much.
thank you. So hang out with me for a minute while I say goodbye. Thank you. Hey, I'm in Black Therapy Show. I see that's another good show. Love that. You see you changed your name, but I love it. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch. I appreciate you. And we'll be back. Does that hang out with me 1 minute? Bye, guys. I'll see you next week. See you.